Well, that's the way to go.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another edition of Blake and Blake Sports. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Blake Cabell. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy in the building here live at Ferg's on Central Avenue, 1320 Central Avenue in St. Pete. Some great wings here, as always. Great service. Everything is great here. Whether we want to watch the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Tampa Bay Rays, or, of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, home of the official watch parties here live at Ferg's for road games for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Definitely come out and join us. And doing some things with the new arena football team here in Tampa, the Tampa Bay Tornadoes. We'll have them out here next week.
We'll talk more about that then.
Oh, we definitely will. So definitely keep on tuning in.
What a great time this morning, though, right? What a great time.
It's a busy morning.
It has been.
We put in a full shift of work today.
Hey, who tore the wings up today? My first time tearing, I tore those wings.
Yeah, it's normally
up.
Peter.
Normally it is Peter.
Yeah, well, it still was me today.
He did say he has soul when it comes to fried chicken. Peter definitely is the soul man.
I am absolutely the soul man when it comes to chicken wings, and these chicken wings are unbelievable at Ferg's. Again, 1320 Central Avenue in St. Pete. It is Blake and Blake Sports here live, the official home of Bucs Report, the 62,000 following on Facebook. Keep on joining up, and I'm telling you, there's a lot of great things coming down the pike. Speaking of coming down the pike, the stories this week, gentlemen. Gerald McCoy and the comments. We'll finally get a chance to play these. Hopefully the audio will work out. We started out with that, and then we'll also talk about the Tampa Bay Rays. Crazy stadium situation with them splitting games in Montreal. Want to get your thoughts on that, and, of course, get the fans' responses, and then some Tampa Bay Lightning news. Tampa Bay Lightning players winning some awards, and then trade today with JT Miller going to the Vancouver Canucks. We'll discuss that. And Ryan Callahan could be gone for his career. And you have NBA free agency right around the corner. So just a busy day in sports.
Exhausting.
It is.
An exhausting week.
Love it. Absolutely love it. But I tell you what, let's go ahead. Let's get these comments.
Can we preface this with, though?
Yes.
Philip Schwegler wanted us to talk about McCoy again today. I just wanted to go and preface that.
He did? He actually requested that?
He really requested that.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
All right. Well, we're gonna
see me and Peter go at it. That's what it is.
Absolutely. So we're gonna give you what you want here. We're gonna play these comments when he talked a couple weeks ago about not necessarily bad-mouthing the organization. We'll start out with that, and then we will go into the show he did this week, Undisputed, on Fox Sports 1, and we'll go from there. So here we go.
Oh, man, that was you, Blake. Oh, man. Undisputed.
Sapp left. And Sapp was one of a kind. But John Lynch, Brooksy, all these guys left.
He started it.
Rondé Barber, when all these guys left, and nobody wore the number. They didn't give their number away. And it was a sign of respect. Well, 6 Pro Bowls, All-Pro, 4 times. This is Tampa Bay, you know, and I'm one of the best players to ever play in the organization. I'm gonna say it. Usually I wouldn't, but I'm gonna say it. So what? It kind of shows the respect and how they felt about me. I think it does. Them giving the number away, that's their prerogative. But the respect they showed, especially, it'd be different if it was a guy who came in, he signed 4 or 5 years. This is a 1-year deal. And you said because he caused a problem or he really asked for the number, we gave it to him. I mean, it may seem like it's just a number, but it's bigger than that. It's respect. And that was a big part of the separation between me and Tampa, period, was the respect they showed to me all offseason. It just wasn't fair.
Why do you think that began to happen? Because as soon as Arians took over, one of the first statements he made was, I need to see more from Gerald, right?
Yeah. Well, here's how I see it. I'm going to say this, and one thing I'll never do is slander or disrespect the organization that changed my life. So I won't do that. But what I will speak on is the truth. The truth is, I did not speak to any of the coaches besides Bruce Arians without running into them while I was in the gym and working. Nobody called my phone. I didn't speak to my D-line coach. I didn't speak to Ty Bowles. I didn't speak to anybody. I didn't speak to Jason Wright. I spoke to nobody. And if I'm supposed to be one of the staples, have been one of the staples in this organization since I've been there, you know, it'd be different if they wasn't calling other people, but they weren't calling other people. So,
Stand by.
you mean to tell me you can't just pick up the phone? Hey, we're here, just wanted to introduce myself, none of that.
Okay, so that was a little bit of the interview on Undisputed with Gerald McCoy, of course, talking to Skip Bayless and also Shannon Sharp. You know, my biggest problem is the comments 2 weeks before saying he's not going to come out and trash the organization. It seemed like that's exactly what he did. I get it. He's a little bit sensitive. He's always been that way in his career. He didn't get enough calls. He mentioned that he got more calls from Baltimore and Cleveland than Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But the thing is, at this point, again, they wanted to move on. They most likely had a trade that basically fell through. My problem was, the biggest problem with the whole deal was the fact that he's a Carolina Panther now. So not only is he trashing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as an organization, but also he's comparing himself to the Buccaneer greats like a Sapp, a Brooks, a Lynch. You just can't do that, guys. 54.5 sacks. I mean, he's not one of the greatest Bucs of all time. Will he get in the Ring of Honor? That remains to be seen. With these comments, maybe not so much, right?
That's where he lost me. Gerald's been right all along. I mean, we know, like you said, sensitive guy, hard worker, quiet guy. In fact, has he not said more in the last week or two than he did in basically 9 seasons here in Tampa Bay, right?
Yeah, pretty much. He's always been a talker. He's always said, you know, I want to do this, I want to do that, and has never been able to fulfill that expectation. And we're not going to rehash it. I mean, we all know how everybody feels on this panel on Blake and Blake Sports, but at the end of the day, absolutely go Bolts. And go Bulls, go Bolts, and whatever you're saying. I know you feel differently about it, Blake, and we talked about it a couple days ago, but to me, the straw that basically broke the camel's back was when he basically compared himself to Buccaneer greats.
Well, you're not going to hear any argument out of me about that aspect. As soon as you said that, I'm like, dear God, Gerald, no. But can't take it back. He said what he said. He feels how I feel. I ain't backing you up on that. But what I will back him up on is, like I said before, and others have said it to me, is the Bucs handled this pretty poorly, dragging this out. You should have been selling Gerald McCoy instead of saying it's a 2-part system. You have how you feel within your own camp. Mm-hmm. That's fine. You don't want him there, you don't want him there. You tell Gerald you don't want him there. We all good. There's no confusion.
Right.
And then there's the other part. when you're saying to the media, you should have been upselling McCoy, regardless of how you really felt for him. Possibly you could have got the trade value for him.
Wait.
But what's done is done.
So can I ask you a question?
Go
though?
ahead.
So it seems like the definitive answer here, and I've been trying to be I've been a guy between
You're
the
the
middle.
mediator here. You're,
Right,
you're
I'm
the
the
you're the
mediator.
voice of reason to a certain degree.
And so Gerald said on Undisputed, there was talk, and he was very specific that there was talk, and there wasn't a renegotiate, or there wasn't a
It wasn't a restructure.
A restructure, but it was
I
so-
called.
right. But so my question to you is, doesn't the answer to how bad he was done or how bad the situation was handled, does that not fall in the timing issue? Were the Bucs waiting to see if he would actually take that pay cut?
Well, they
And
went to him, and they absolutely asked him. As we got a fan right now that just approached. We are live here on Blake and Blake Sports on Bucs Report. I'm your host Peter Blake, along with Mr. Blake Cabell, and of course Mr. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy here live at Ferg's.
So that's
They went and asked him. And
Right,
they
asked him what?
they asked him the question on Undisputed. Did they come to you and ask you for a restructure or your release? And they said he said a little bit of both. So basically, he didn't answer the question.
Well,
and
yeah,
that's
right.
been my point of contention is here's a player that always talks about, well, I need help from the Buccaneer organization. Well, hey, you didn't do a restructure. They came to you again. They wanted you to restructure. You didn't take the deal. As Keith Larson would say off the air, Bruce Arians was correct,
Well, don't
because
forget,
the
though-
Carolina Panthers only paid him 1 year, $4 million. Another $4 million kicks in, and if he hits all incentives, it's $10 million. Boys, there's no guarantee he's going to hit that $10 million. So to me,
Mr. Blake,
it's pretty cut and dry.
Okay, if I'm going to take a restructure, which I really don't think Gerald would have been against that. Like he said it, plain out and day. If it's wrong, then the Bucs need to come out and say that he's inaccurate.
Right.
Because otherwise than that, I'm going to take the man at what he's worth, because he's never shown me any reason why he would lie about anything his entire career. I think we can all agree to that.
Right.
He's been an upstanding guy, so I don't believe he would lie about any of it.
so it wasn't a restructure.
Yeah, so if you're not, I'll take a restructure if you're telling me, hey, Gerald, do you mind taking a $5 million pay cut so we can bring in X, Y, Z? I don't think you would have had a problem with that.
Well, he did have a problem with it because he was
I
asked.
ain't done yet. I ain't done.
Okay.
I said, but you didn't have any communication with this man other than a premature Arians the GMAC talk, which I know you advocated over and over that Arians called him out. Arians didn't call him out. Instead, you did it a cowardly way. You went in front of the guy and told him that he was going to be your 3 technique.
But here's
No,
the
no,
thing.
no.
He may evaluated the tape and said,
That's
you know
fine.
what? He's not good enough for it.
But Arians isn't the
And
man.
was he not right about it?
Arians is not the man that you're making him
But
out to be.
but
You made
was
it
he-
seem like he walked this man in his face?
But was he
and
not
told
right?
him-
Was he not right?
That's besides the point.
But was he not right?
I'm not arguing that.
Okay.
I'm arguing the point that
Okay.
you made people believe that Arians Canada's man, pound for pound, told him, you ain't our guy, and we don't want you here. We're going to move on, and called your manhood out. That did not happen. You barely talked to the guy. You avoided him in the hallways. He had to seek you out in the hallways to have conversations with you about it. Now, if you want to play the flip side on it, well, they don't have to do that. Granted,
They really don't.
But when you do stuff like this to a 9-year veteran that has done everything correctly, it shines a bad light on you and your organization for future veteran players.
The bad light's already there. There are
No.
2 straight 5-11
Nobody's
football
gonna-
teams
no.
with one of the worst defenses in the
Okay,
last
so that
5
means-
years.
So no veteran should want
That's
to come
on
here.
him.
So no veteran should want to come here because of that.
No, I'm telling you, there was already a bad light on this team from Gerald McCoy and this defense.
Well, we can have the same conversation about Levante David.
You could absolutely have the
I
same
mean, he's on the
conversation
same
about
defense,
Levante
and I love
David.
Levante
And that's
David.
the reason why Bruce Arians is trying to
Levante
call
David
out.
horrible too?
It remains to be seen at this point.
And he's made a lot of plays for us.
All right, separate and go to your corners.
I love Peter. This is fun.
Absolutely.
I get it. I'm not
Sure.
disagreeing with the money. I'm not disagreeing he doesn't fit your scheme. I'm not disagreeing with any of that. I just tired of the Buccaneers doing things the wrong way. And when I say do the things the wrong way, if you don't want somebody here, get rid of them. Just like everybody wants to compare to New England, right? What does Belichick do if you don't want you here? He don't sit up here and drag it out, play dancing up on here with the media, dragging you out. You're just gone. That's what they should have done. Move on.
Well, they may have had a trade. Again, it was reported that it fell through in the 11th hour. And what you're watching right now is here live at Ferg's, 1320 Central Avenue in St. Pete. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Blake Cabell, along with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy here on Blake and Blake Sports. So there's a lot of passionate commentary on the Gerald McCoy situation. For me, the problem is not only does he call out the organization, but also calls out Jameis Winston to a certain degree, saying that he knows them, they still call each other, but he's not sure. After 5 years, the guy needs to grow up. I'm not sure if he can do it, but yet he says that Deshaun Jackson's going to be great for the Philadelphia Eagles. What are you talking about? Jackson was the problem with Jameis Winston in that locker room, and you're basically praising Jackson, and you're saying this quarterback needs to grow up after 5 years. To me, Winston is more of a leader than Gerald McCoy on this team, right?
Gerald McCoy, I'm glad you brought that up because it reminded me of something. Gerald McCoy also admitted that he was a yes man. I don't know if you kind of caught on.
And
to
he
that.
also admitted that he failed leadership-wise with Levante David.
And like I said previous shows that he probably should have just played his position and done that. I don't think we would have busted his rear too much for if he'd have just done that. But he admitted to being a yes man. He said, I did what the ownership told me to do. He said, they told me I need to step up and be a leader. When you say that means you already knew you weren't one.
Right.
I say you were trying to pretend to be. And I admire the man for that. He tried to be that. He's not that. He's not that. I think we all agree to that. He wasn't that guy for many years. And I think too much was thrown on him for 9 seasons. But it's done. It's done. It's 9 years.
Yeah.
But he should have, like I say, he should have just stayed neutral, done what he could have done as a 3 technique for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and not try to be the face of like the franchise if you would and look at it as a franchise QB, and I don't think people would have beaten him up so badly.
And let's not forget, guys, going into last season, literally before the games even started, the biggest surprise, the C. We knew Jameis Winston would not have that C just by association with the 3-game suspension and going into the season.
Sure.
But Gerald McCoy had that C for what? That would have been his 6th year. It would have been his 2nd gold star. It would have been his 6th year as a team captain. He didn't have that team captain. So my question is, it sounds like they're starting to. It sounded like that Jason Light has an actual good seal on. Maybe there was 2 camps going on inside the locker room. Gerald on one side, Jameis on the other, and that's part of the reason why that Gerald didn't have that C going into 2018.
And you just wonder if he was a part of that contingent locker room that basically was hindering the growth of Jameis Winston and his leadership.
Right, causing a split or a separation.
I don't know. Gerald admitted he was happy to step down from the captain.
Well, the organization decided to go a different direction for some reason.
Right.
Well,
you have to change something.
Well, exactly.
I'm not
but that's always been my point of contention. The main constant that's been here has been Gerald McCoy.
And one other thing, his main constant is inconsistency.
Yeah.
Within coaching. And what
it's a fair point. You can absolutely
it's been the same all over.
Sure.
And McCoy has been a center part of it. You're absolutely right.
All right. Somebody says, "Crybaby, what's up, fellas?" Misador did a show the other night. Thanks a lot for tuning into that.
He's
killing it. Killing it. Indiana Buckaholics, big time announcement. Go to their website. Go to Bucs Report. And Christopher says, I thought we were moving on from talking about
was gonna say,
GMC.
Yeah, we know.
We had to recap it because it is in the news cycle here on Bucs Report, on the Sports Web, and, of course, on Blake and Blake Sports. Again, I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Blake Cabell. Tampa Bay,
it was my most
Ray
viewed
Kennedy.
story in the last few months, so I got to milk that cow a little bit more.
It just shows you how many people really are impartial about Gerald McCoy.
It's a split. It's a devising debate.
It's you want to love the guy so bad. And I understand Peter where he's coming from, as far as a professional and all that. And my thing is I like to see the guys that do right things get done the right way, but it doesn't always work that way. And I always say Antonio Brown, I will never forget. That's cowardly to me what he did. You never quit on your teammates. If anybody has ever played any sport, have you been in the military, you do not quit on your guys.
Right.
Y'all are supposed to be battle buddies. Y'all are supposed to be brothers. You don't quit. And he quit and did everything and was rewarded in the end. He was rewarded. But yet, we bashed Gerald McCoy so badly, and he did everything correct in this league. Besides the play on the field.
Well, he did.
Besides the play, and then this recent stuff.
Well, the recent stuff is what people remember. I mean, that's in their memory now.
So let me ask you, though, and Antonio Brown, you're right, because that was visible on screen. That was like literally taking your family laundry and throwing it in public. But what about Le'Veon Bell? I mean, he didn't even go into the year.
I didn't even get the Le'Veon.
I know, right? So it's the same situation, but
disaster.
But it is both quitting on your team.
Sure.
Le'Veon and Brown got a paid upgrade.
Yeah.
Well, that's on them. Look, that's on the Jets and that's on the Raiders. And you look at those organizations, they're not going in the right direction. I happen to feel that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going in the right direction.
I
and
do too.
we're all going in the right direction here on Bucs Report on Blake and Blake Sports. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Blake Cabell, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. Christopher says, I love GMC, but he wasn't getting it done. I agree with you. McCoy isn't on the team. Move on. We are moving on. I tell you what do you want to move on
I just want y'all
to?
do that when the season starts.
Let's
I don't
talk
want to hear all this
stadium.
back again when the season starts.
Let's get, because week 2, 8:20 ESPN game
Yep,
live
sure.
from Charlotte.
And
Bank
we'll
of
be
America
here.
Stadium.
We'll be here,
We'll
right?
Be here,
We're going to
and
be
it's
here
gonna
for the
be
watch
on.
party.
I might go to Charlotte for that one.
Hey guys, don't forget out there the Bucs Report. We're going to go ahead and make sure everyone knows that we're the ones that came up with the McSue Sackometer. And that's going to be the Gerald McCoy, Ndamukong Suh, Sackometer. Because you watch, ESPN's going to be running this. NFL Network's going to be running this.
I'm not even going to play that game because I already know the system's not built
Well,
for Suh to get
let's
sacked.
play
I'm not
the
even gonna
game.
play that game.
I've never
I
seen
like
you
to
lose
play
this
games.
I've never
You're
seen
going to
a
lose this game.
Hey guys,
I'll tell you
You're
what.
gonna lose this game.
I'm going to bet you something right now. This defense is improved totally. They go to an average ranking, and we talked to the coaches of the Tornadoes today, and the guy had nothing but great things to say about Todd Bowles and how he believes
Arians,
right
and Tony Dungy.
how this defense is going to be improved. I think they're going to be totally improved. I think people are going to be surprised of how improved they're going to be even without JPP on this team.
I think that Devin White and every day, and even Tony Rossi got on me this morning because he's like, let's let things develop a little. Let's not get. I think Devin White, Defensive Rookie of the Year, possibly NFL Rookie of the Year. This kid is just impressing me more and more every day.
Sure.
It's just hard for me to say that, and you haven't laid any contact on anybody.
I get that.
Right. Well, I mean, everything you hear, you have Levante David. He's coming into a system. We all know about David's record when he's able to blitz. They're going to give him that opportunity. They did that early on in his career with Greg Schiano, so he's going to get that opportunity in Todd Bowles' defense. And already in circles around the NFL, they're saying Levante David, Devin White, both of those linebackers in the middle, because Misador did a great write-up. Go ahead and take a look at that on BucsReport.com. Join our 62,000 following on Facebook. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Blake Cabell, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. Both of those players being side by side, being able to blitz and not knowing where that blitz is coming from, that's going to be the unique thing with the defense this year in 2019. It's not predicated necessarily from the defensive line. A lot of that's predicated from the linebacking spot, and White is going to get every opportunity to do that, which he did pretty well in college with getting after the quarterback, right?
Did he ever put his hand on the ground?
No.
David?
Yeah.
No, but you don't have to.
Devin White, I mean.
No.
He's actually, I gave him an A+ at pass rushing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what made you come to that estimation A+? Why? Go ahead and explain. Go ahead and give me some.
When he was asked to blitz,
okay,
he not only followed his assignment of where he was going, and he was good at it. He was good at beating the tackle or running back. He's big enough to knock running backs back into the quarterback, fast enough to run around him. Same thing with the offensive lineman. Kind of reminds me of, you guys remember years ago when Ray Lewis did a one-on-one about his offseason and what he does on blitzes.
Right.
And tries to get linemen off balance and goes around. That's what he kind of reminded me of when he was blitzing. He knows how to use his body to beat.
You're saying Ray Lewis-like. And this was the comparison when White was coming out of LSU during the draft, that he had the opportunity or the possibilities to be Ray Lewis.
And what made Ray was never the fastest.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ray was big, but he wasn't the biggest. But it was how smart he was. And if you would listen to Ray talk, I mean, sometimes if you listen to him, it sounds like he's crazy. But if you understand what he's talking about, he's actually breaking it down, and it's pretty simple. What do I say all the time, Peter, when I watch tape? There's only a certain amount of things you can do in certain situations.
Sure.
If you're running the ball, you can only go certain things. If you're passing the ball in certain formations, there's only a certain amount of things you do. And Ray understands that. And I hope Devin White can figure that out as well. Pair up. And a lot of these rookies pair up with a lot of veterans that are from other teams that are around. It's a huge network in the NFL.
Sure.
And hopefully he can pick up some things and learn some tricks of the trade and become even better than he was in college.
Yeah. And somebody said he started out as a running back in college. We
Correct.
know that,
That's why he's big.
Right, but he's a big guy. He's athletic.
He's like Leonard Fournette playing linebacker.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you want to put a comparison.
Now,
Same size.
the durability issue is not like Fournette, which is what he struggled with in the
Well, you're
NFL.
taking hits versus giving them.
Sure.
Positions.
Sure, and that's the great thing about White here, Ray, is that the fact that he is it seems like he's going to be a much better tackler than Quan Alexander. Much has been made about
hope so.
Alexander and the loss. 78 missed tackles when he was a middle linebacker for this team. So you have to feel good about the potential of White coming in with the Bucs, right?
Oh, fantastic! And the thing I like about White is he hasn't shown anything because he's been to he's been to a mini camp and an OTA or two. But one thing we always loved about Quan is he brought the passion. And the thing about Devin is that, and he did, right? I mean, he's a passionate player, and
Sure.
sometimes to a fault. You catch him over pursuing.
That's just what his problem was.
Right.
He relied a little bit too much on athletic ability.
Justin
And-
Hyder's great comments here. He talked
He
about
always
Devin
does.
White. Right. He said, I see Patrick Willis as a good comp for Devin.
Only way I like that. I don't think I've mentioned that on air, but I did mention Devin White and Patrick Willis because Patrick Willis was exceptionally fast. We all know that. The only difference that I saw in Patrick Willis that I don't see in Devin White. I never saw Devin White stick his nose in face to face to the tailback in the hole like Patrick Willis did. Patrick Willis will come at you 100 miles an hour and lay you out
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then run you down.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Devin White do that to bigger backs or bigger players. I've seen him do that to quarterbacks and smaller running backs and wide receivers. But this is the NFL now. Everybody's just as big and fast as you. So I'm hoping he can transition that. I mean, let me just be honest. I really don't care if he really does smash people in the mouth. I care if he makes stops at the line of scrimmage, gets tips passes.
You don't want to
gets
see the
interceptions.
broken tackles like you saw
make
here
the
with
plays
Alexander.
that you are able to make.
Do your job.
That's it. That's all I really.
That's it.
And I'm going to say again, I'm going to keep saying it all season.
Mm-hmm.
Let Devin White be Devin White. Let Devin White be Devin White. Do not compare this man to Derrick Brooks. Let him be his own player.
All right. Good stuff. All right, so we can talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You want to talk
about?
Yeah,
let's
go
talk
ahead.
about the stadium. Let's get into the stadium, guys.
All right. Well,
transition it right away.
I just want to tell you
Can't
something.
get no closer, right?
We're right
If you
next-
didn't watch the Sports Web last night, go watch it because I really felt good about that show.
Yes.
I thought it was one of my best shows because there was passion, and I always say three things on this show, right? Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense.
Or veggies.
That's right, veggies, exactly. Don't bring the veggies and the eggs in the morning. With that being said, the whole situation, the issue came out on Thursday where basically the Rays are going to play half of their games in Montreal and they're going to play half of their games here, but they're going to play the early games, the early months here, and then the later months for the playoffs in Montreal. This makes no sense at all, Major League Baseball. And as I said last night, shame on Major League Baseball for even approving this deal to give the Rays that power. And watch the show last night because there is a history between Major League Baseball and the Tampa Bay area, and namely St. Pete, with the White Sox, with the Mariners, with the Giants, with passing him over for an expansion, and then they finally get a team in 98, and they have nearly 10 years. They have 10 years of losing, not nearly.
Do you know
10
how bad
years.
I used to hate having to go to Blockbuster to rent DVD or videotapes every time, knowing that I was putting change in Wayne Huizenga's pocket after him and and Miami stole the Florida Marlins. They tried to call him at first.
Florida Marlins, exactly. Now the Miami Marlins, and it's just disappointing because for me, I feel strongly that if this owner were like a Jeff Vinnick and he would do more for the fan base and he would come out and make it an event much like it is over the weekend, by cutting some ticket prices, by cutting concessions, by cutting parking, by doing all those things, you would get, because there are fans out here.
Oh, yeah.
They're passionate fans
They're
like
there.
you and me and Blake.
They're there.
Blake's never been to a game,
Never
and the
been to a
reason
game.
why Blake has probably not been to a game on the weeknight is because you don't get home until about 10:30, 11 o'clock. And, yeah, maybe the ticket is cheap, but you also have to pay for the parking, the concessions. People like to stay home. They don't mention the ratings. It's disappointing because the picture that is painted by the national media and also the local media, shame on you guys for painting this picture, is that there is no support here. But there is. Major League Baseball has an attendance problem across all Major League Baseball
I
teams.
think that's like the mother of all sports is baseball.
Right.
I think it's the mother of all sports.
So, I just want to get your thoughts on a Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy because I know you're a big-time Rays fan. what were you thinking when this announcement happened, and did it reveal the true intentions of Stuart Sternberg and the future of the Tampa Bay Rays? Does he want to be here like he says he wants to be here, or does he want to come through, act like he wants to be here, and then basically head out of town for Montreal?
Actions speak louder than words.
I think he's hedging his bet. I mean, let's look at. So they announced they were going to. Kreisman said go to Hillsborough County and try to get a stadium done. And the first thing Sternberg said when they went to Hillsborough County is, "I'm only going to put $150 million up." Wink, wink, nod, nod. So I'm dealing in good faith, but don't expect me to meet you halfway or even try to deal with you. Then we hear news, literally last week, that Sternberg bought a house down here in St. Petersburg, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then now we hear them announce that they're going to split the games between Montreal and St. Petersburg, right? You want to know what this does? This tells me that we're lining up all of our ducks in a row to go to court with a case to try to get out of that lease before 2027. And here's my thing.
Well, the Rays are going to court.
The Rays are going to try to go to court to get out of that lease. And
sure.
Here's what I want to know. And if because they're going to be and if
Geez, let's go Cubbies. So there you go.
If you put this trial before a judge, then you have a chance, possibly Sternberg and the Millionaires. But if you put this trial between a jury of our peers, 12 jurors of our peers, I want to know if people are going to finally say once and for all, hell no, we will not let Major League or any kind of major professional franchises hold cities ransom for new stadiums. You're going to have to bring – because look at the Bucs. The Glazers bought the Bucs in 1994 for $195 million and got chastised for it. The Bucs are now valued at what, over $800 million?
Yeah.
It's not a bad return on your investment.
Sure.
And to put a stadium in downtown St. Petersburg and continue to utilize our area and build a product that you can go moving forward – then that's not a bad thing to be thinking about doing. But when you say you're only going to put up so much, you guys figure out how to get the other $700 million.
I mean, putting half up, you want a new stadium, but you don't want to put half up. You don't want to come halfway. You know, I talked about it last night on the show. It's like having a bad relationship. You know, the person knows that the other person doesn't want to be there, and basically the other person is taking the other for granted. So if you want a new stadium and you're a private enterprise and your stock market's Fifth and Saks, gentlemen, then you come up with the half, you make it work. But again, they had 3 years, Blake, to get this thing going in Tampa. They weren't able to close the deal, and now they want to not only build one stadium here, they want to build two stadiums, one in Montreal, which, by the way, lost their team because they couldn't support their team because they have a worse stadium situation than here.
Is that possible?
Right. You want to build a stadium for 41 games? Good luck.
Well, don't forget, like I said someone this week, that before Montreal men's Expos went to the Washington Nationals or became the Washington Nationals, Major League Baseball flipped them with the Florida Marlins and Jeff Lurie, took a good farm system and go ahead and stock the Marlins, which they let go to crap anyway. I think maybe they did win a championship before they did, but then they let it go to crap. So it makes me wonder now if you won't see the same thing happen with this team, because baseball, literally the sport of baseball, the mother of all sports, like you said, Blake, is about farm systems and developments. And let's be honest, guys, if nothing else, we can debate about stadium and Sternberg and a city all day, but if nothing else, the Rays still have one of the best farm systems in all of the Major League.
Sure, and again, yeah, I always go back to this. You know, fans, they don't understand. You ask these fans right now that are walking by, do they understand the business of baseball? No, they understand wins and losses. They want to see an owner that's committed. They want to see an owner that will pay over $100 to $120 million. Because, look, if I'm a fan of the Tampa Bay Rays, why am I going there to support them and put money in their pockets when they don't even put money in their own product?
No.
I mean, how many years, Ray, did they have an opportunity to win a World Series? 2008. Great run, could have made the big
I was in Philly for that one.
Right, could have made the big trade at the deadline, didn't do it. 2009, same thing. They're on the cusp. Instead, they trade Kazmir. 10, 11, 12. How many fan favorites have they gotten rid of because of money reasons? And how many years has this owner come out and said, look, in so many words, the fan support isn't good enough to support my product. I'm a multi-millionaire. You guys are going to lose this team if you don't give me a new stadium. That, my friends, does not work. That does not endear fans to you. It basically alienates the fans in this area. He looks like a New York outsider. Look at Jeff Finnick and what he's done with the Tampa Bay Lightning.
He bought a house here last week, 7 days ago. So isn't he a St. Pete, through and through, or no? Or is that just, again, part of his posturing?
That's just for timeshare.
He bought a it's a good.
I mean, who knows? I mean, he owns the Al Lang Stadium for the Tampa Bay Rowdies, and you would think I mean, would he really come up with the idea to play Rays games outside at Al Lang Stadium for 41 games?
If the city of St. Petersburg, though, went to Stu Sternberg and said, look, and maybe they've done this, and this is what I speculate. I've been speculating all along when I said the redevelopment of the 45 acres that are just about, 150 yards in back of us, is that if the city of St. Petersburg went to him and said, look, do over here what Jeff Vinnick is doing over in Channelside. It's a little different because we're more of a bedroom community. We're all restaurants and bars, a $90 million pier going in.
Sure. Right.
But come, do the development, make your money, but build your stadium and keep you. And we want to keep you here because let's be honest, guys, we want our baseball team. I love our Rays, but at the end of the day, other than the opening signature of a Sports Center tagline or a baseball game, when they say live from St. Petersburg, Florida, there's not, other than like the small economic jobs and all. One can argue that for 6 months a year, there's really nothing going on in that stadium but other things you generate. So I can see from a municipal standpoint, it's hard. You're not going to sell a city on spending $800 million to build a new stadium.
Yeah,
so it's got to be done through a redevelopment dollar.
And what Travis Fraley, my Rocket Sports and entertainment Tampa Bay Lightning insider around the NFL during the season for the Tampa Bay Buccaneer road watch parties. You go crazy and you wear your emotions on your sleeve, but you seem to forget that Sternberg is a businessman. Baseball is a game about money.
Fine.
You're exactly right.
That's
it is
fine.
a game about money, but I want to show the public that there are fans out there like myself. I'm not afraid
Like
to
your
sit
father.
here. Right. My father used to take me to baseball games all the time. The man was sick. He had cancer. He used to
still
sit
at
up
them games.
Right. He would
That's a
still
spit in
go
his
out there.
face What the Steinberg doing?
Exactly. 300 section, you would sit up there, and then they eliminate that because they want to, 27,000? What they should do is build a new ballpark, like he said, like he suggested a long time ago. Go 19 or 20,000 because you look at the Tampa Bay Lightning. Jeff Vinnick, he's the blueprint of ownership. And if you don't want to, right, if you don't want to be like Vinnick, then
Who are you trying to be like?
right. I mean, what has he done? He's endeared himself to the fan base. He's given back. He's cultivated this organization. He's hired Steve Yzerman. He's hired a great coach in John Cooper. Say whatever you want to about Cooper not winning a Stanley Cup, but they are consistent and they sign. They're fan favorites, and it doesn't matter what it costs. They get it done. This team has failed with doing that.
And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead on a limb here, though, and I'm going to assume this because I honestly don't know enough about the downtown Tampa or Hillsborough politics. But the city of Tampa pretty much said to Jeff, "Hey, this used to be our port. This is Tampa Bay port. We're not using it as much as we used to. Channelside's not working. You could take this Channelside down. Here, Jeff, we're going to get rid of all of our ordinances and variances. We're going to work with you to develop this downtown so we can keep the Amelie."
Emily.
Nice palace.
Might as well call it Omni from Atlanta, where the Hawks used to play. Would you shut up? Go
What you're
ahead.
saying, Ray, and this is coming from some of the wealth. I'm not going to put their names out there, but this is coming from some of the wealthiest people in this area. If y'all know who that is, the people. It started off with 13, but it's branched off. So fortunate for me, a couple of years back, I was talking to one of those gentlemen, and what they're trying to do in this area, they are trying to bring life to downtown. They're trying to bring that life there. And like you said, with what's going on in Channelside, nothing. It's quiet on the weekends.
Yeah.
Everywhere else, in the country, when you go downtown, you're like, damn, I remember going downtown Atlanta. Damn, I remember going downtown Miami.
Yeah.
Can't say that in Tampa Bay, which is not all everybody's fault. Tampa Bay is still growing. It is still growing. We are still learning and developing. But let me get back on topic. They are trying to build that culture up down there. And I think, putting another ballpark or some type of excitement for people to go to drink at, to go to concerts at.
Sure.
Whatever you want to do there is key to this Tampa Bay area.
Could they make it? Let me ask you guys. Could they make it work here?
Yes. But Kreisman nailed it the other day, and I'm going to go ahead and throw some props out to T. Kraz. Well, T. Kraz. Well, yeah, let's trade the Rays back for two farm teams because Mayor Al Lang knew 150 years ago that Florida kicks butt for 6 weeks in the spring, but it's a little harder to play outside in the middle of July and August in Florida. But Kreisman hit the nail on the head with the fact that I've known this my entire life because I came from Staten Island, New York, and I've gone back and visited my family many times. That we do not have a metro transit system whatsoever here. There should be a ferry taking me from downtown city. They're experimenting with it, and it's starting to make inroads. But this stuff should have been in place 10 years ago. Right.
Yep. And remember, I told you I moved here from Philadelphia. If any of you guys ever been there or seen what it looks like, It's a compound.
Yep.
All the stadiums are there. But what's the key part of that? I don't have to drive.
You can
The
move.
bus, the L or the train will drop me off
Yes.
right in front.
That makes a big deal.
Drunk and don't worry about DUI and back home.
And what I said about coming down here, if now here's what and this is Peter, you asked me a little while ago my honest opinions about this, and the thing about this week that bothered me the most is that even though it's not as apparent as it was, I get 2 points to make. One is that the fact, and Mayor Kreisman said when he reached across the bay to Hillsborough, he said that we will listen to anything you can come up with and try to work with you, but if it doesn't work and it comes back here, we just want you to try to come back and work with us. And he said Hillsborough County's been ex nihilo facto on that. They have not come back to the table. So my thing is that going back to the Buccaneers in a new stadium 20 years ago, there still is that Hillsborough County, Pinellas County rivalry going on, and maybe they don't want to admit the fact that, when it comes to partying, I used to want to go to Ybor 25 years ago because it was happening, but no more. I'm not going across the bay. I'm coming down here. And I'm coming down to
It's a beautiful area. It's growing, and then on top of it, Noah Paransky, WTSP Channel 10 and Shadow of the Stadium on Twitter reports that he thinks that maybe Sternberg, he liked the waterfront. They pitched the idea originally in 2008. That didn't go anywhere, but that he wants to take advantage of the redevelopment deal, which is 50%. Right. So he wants his cake and eat it too, and that's always been the main contention. If he's going to move out of here and go somewhere else, then don't ask for the redevelopment fees when they try to redevelop on Tropicana. You're not there anymore. Right. That's like you saying you moved out, and then basically you want whatever the person there that's living after you all the funds.
So I mentioned
that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mentioned this a few weeks ago. So anyone out there, hit your VCR. Just record this. 'Cause I'm going to make a plea right now.
VCR.
I'm going to make a plea.
VCR.
Mayor Kreisman.
He said VCR.
Mayor Kreisman, Stu Sternberg. Mayor Kreisman, you mentioned the fact that we don't have a good metro transit system. If we were to redevelop a parking garage behind us and all of the stuff going downtown to the waterfront would take people to and from the waterfront for baseball, then we could make that stadium at the waterfront work. And again, this plays into the fact that the Rays purchased the Rowdies, and they purchased Al Lang Stadium because they want to maybe possibly try to build a stadium down there. It could still work. We need metro transportation. We need Kreisman and Sternberg to work together. Otherwise, this team goes to Montreal, and then the team ends up in Vegas. I'm calling it.
Absolutely, and we're getting bombarded by fans right now for the Wings. It's great here. It's Blake and Blake Sports here, live on Bucs Report. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Blake Cabell. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy here live as he's eating a wing right now. The wings are great. Definitely get down here, 1320 Central Avenue.
Right. Delicious.
Come over
They
here.
are delicious. Whether you want to watch the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Tampa Bay Rays, or, of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
So what's your name?
My name is Ashlyn.
And Ashlyn, why are you down here in St. Pete today?
Well, I'm eating wings, aren't I?
Right, but why are you all down here for the parade tonight?
For the parade, yes, sir.
That's right.
Pride Parade down here in St. Petersburg. So what's your image? What's your image of the city of St. Petersburg? You're what? 18, 19?
I'm 23.
23? Okay, so you're a younger person. I'm definitely an older person. What's your impression of St. Petersburg when you're coming down here? If someone were to say to you, what kind of city is St. Petersburg? Should I come down and visit? What would your impersonation or impression of St. Petersburg be?
I think it's a beautiful city full of art, lots of artwork around the street, lots of friendly people, dogs, wings.
Right.
I
But
love it.
it's not like, because now when I was your age, maybe a little bit younger, you could not come down here after 6 p.m. any night of the week, and it was Moss Brothers, and it was Bayfront Center, and it was nothing. But you would say this is an up-and-coming, very active city.
I would definitely agree.
All right, how you guys like to go to Rays games?
I've gone to a Rays game, yes.
Okay, how come you don't go to more Rays games? Just a question.
It's not a trick question. It's your opinion.
I just haven't been. I'm not a big fan of baseball. I like the hockey for sure, though.
So you like the
She mentions the Lightning.
Like the Lightning.
Yes.
Now, why do you like the Lightning besides it being fast-paced? Do you believe that they're going to win? Has the owner instilled that idea that they're out to win?
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Okay.
Definitely a good time.
There you go. That's the fans
Ashley.
right there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. We absolutely we just
It's all yours.
if you like it, there you go. Here,
You guys want them? Wait, Peter, you want some of those?
just gonna show them right there. We're giving wings away. There you go.
Good wings. Those
All
are
right.
wings I killed.
You got to do me a favor though. You got to get in
Yeah,
front
we
of
got
that
one
camera and you got to say I've been live. Oh, no, you got to come. You got to come over here again. Come over here again. You got to say
Pete's going to tell you what.
Real simple. You got to say, I've been live on the sports web on Bucs Report.
On Fox Report, you said?
No,
Wait.
live on the Bucs report.
On the Bucs.
Live on Bucs Report.
Camera right there.
I'm on the sports web, live on Bucs Report.
I'm on the sports web Bucs Report.
There you go. Good enough. There you go. Go ahead, take your wings. And again, we're live here at Ferg Central Avenue. Yes, these are real fans, and real fans are talking to you right now. Come on over here if you want. We'll get some more fans on here. Response, as we always do here on Blake and Blake Sports, and of course the evolution of sports talk television. What's your name?
I'm Andrea.
Hi, Andrea. How you doing?
Hi,
I'm Peter Blake of the Sports
Peter
Web.
Blake,
That's
nice
Blake
to meet
Cabell right there.
A double blade.
Double Blakes. Okay.
The Blake and
So
Blake.
we were talking about the stadium situation. I don't know if you heard the story that the Rays basically want to split their games. They want to play them in the early months. They wanted to be in Tampa, but then now they're going to split their games. They're going to play 41 games here and then go to Montreal and play the rest of their games in the later months. What do you think about that?
That's interesting. I would like to travel to Montreal.
But you're not going to travel to Montreal.
No, I would like to support them here.
Okay, right. So how many Rays games have you been to this year?
This year,
One. How come you don't go to more Rays games?
because I'm really busy.
You're really busy.
Yeah.
Okay, and would you go if maybe the prices were cheaper or concessions were more
Yes.
affordable?
Well, didn't they just start the party deck?
Right,
the top?
exactly. They have
So
started the party deck.
Is that because that was the nosebleed seat? So
Right.
It was cheaper tickets.
Correct.
That way.
Correct.
So now is it more expensive to be up there?
Well, look, I mean, at the end of the day, you can pay for the tickets and go to a party deck, but also you have to pay for parking, you have to pay for hot dogs and drinks and stuff
Because
like
everyone
that.
wants a hot dog.
Right, everybody.
Especially Pride weekend.
Right. So is the reason why you don't go to more Rays games not only because you're busy, but because it's not necessarily affordable?
It's not affordable.
You could
No,
just
last
come
time I
down
went
to
there-
Ferg's and watch the game on TV.
Basically, yes. It's the same environment.
There you go. We're doing.
There you have it.
We're doing case studies right now. Okay.
It's my first time.
So okay, you're live here on Blake and Blake Sports. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Blake Cabell. Andrea, that's your name?
Yes,
Okay.
Andrea.
Andrea.
Andrea Greenleaf.
Andrea Green. Okay.
Greenleaf.
Greenleaf.
Yes.
All right. So, are you a Bucs fan?
I mean, I'm born and raised in Florida, so it's Rays and Bucks.
Rays and Bucs. All right. How good do you think the Bucs are going to be this year?
They're going to be great.
How many wins?
All of them.
Like that.
All right.
All six.
See, so all right. So what I need you to do right now is say you've been live on Blake and Blake Sports on Bucs Report.
I've been live on Blake and Blake Reports on Bucks Report.
Blake and Blake Sports.
Blake and Blake.
Go Rays.
This is a tongue twister. Blake and Blake Sports live with Bucks Report.
There you go.
It
Good
rhymes.
stuff.
It rhymes.
It does rhyme. Thank you very
works.
much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
MSCA.
There you go. Absolutely. That's Ray. That's Tampa. That's
would've
Tampa
really
Bay
blown your
Ray
mind,
Kennedy.
though,
Oh
right?
yeah, he's on the
Andrea,
show.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Blake, Ray.
Yes, absolutely. Go like us. Go like us on Bucs Report and go friend me on Facebook, Peter H.
We're
Blake.
gonna be best friends.
All right, sounds good.
Have a
So
great
there
evening.
you go. The fans speak, right? She
Yeah,
was
the fir-
talking about it.
Especially the first fan. She said it. She hit it right on the head. What she said. She said, "I've been to one game." She said, "Baseball's not interesting to me." That's
Yeah.
fine. I didn't want her to feel like we were trying to
Push it.
put entrap her into a statement. We wanted her to really know what she felt. And she said, "Well, I like the Lightning because they're committed to winning."
But she did say St. Petersburg was a really up and coming, artistic, beautiful city.
And that goes back to what Peter said too. The potential is here.
The potential is here. The money
gotta want
is
it.
here.
You gotta
But you
want
got to want to be a part of it. And the fans can see through him with getting rid of fan favorites, with not making those moves at the deadline. And I asked this question last night on the sports web. If you're a New York Yankee fan or a Boston Red Sox fan or fans right now coming by,
Pedal pod.
why would you try to be a Tampa Bay Rays fan? What have they shown you? What have they won? What have they done consistently that those other teams do?
Well, they've been talking about how crappy their stadium is for a decade. They've been trying to go over to Tampa for the last 3 years. Now they say they're going to Montreal.
I know, right?
You are not helping to build. What's that going to do for attendance? Now, what's it going to be? 16 people in a service squirrel?
It'll
I mean,
be
it's
us.
going to be crazy. It'll be
Yeah.
us.
It'll be
We're going
us.
to get you over there in a week, Blake.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I got to break that. With all that, I got to go to the game.
You better.
So I got to break that.
You better do it
I got to
quick.
go in 2019 too.
You got to. We'll go out. We'll make it an event on the Sports Web on Bucs Report. Absolutely.
Blake's first baseball game.
There you go. Blake's first baseball game. And the one thing is, I also mentioned on the show last night, I talked to Mark Ferguson face to face. This man is passionate about baseball here in St. Pete. He has a bar right next to the stadium. He's doing everything he can to pack in fans. He's got Bucs Report. He's got the Sports Web here. He's got us here, but he definitely supports baseball. There are fans down here that love the Rays and want to go and see them, and all they want the ownership to do is just give a little bit more than what you're giving. Right. You're just basically doing the prerequisite at this point. That's all you're doing. So,
Hola.
Hi, guys. How you doing? Doing
Yankees
great.
Fan.
We're doing the Blake and Blake
baseball.
Sports on Bucs Report. Yes.
You a baseball fan?
Oh, Yankees.
She just got a Yankees hat on. But see, she's wearing a Yankees hat. That's what you got to try to turn around here in the Tampa Bay area. Right, and that's what you have to compete with. And if you don't compete with that and you decide to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results, that's where the insanity thing.
Say something like that? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over.
Well, that is the definition of insanity, is doing things over and over again.
It's like a marriage, guys. I mean, your wife or your husband could be the best, number one, numero uno, best in the world. But if there's no passion there, if there's not a two-way street and commitment and making excitement between each other, then you're not going to have a good marriage. You can have a well marriage.
Right.
Yeah, sure. It's like
because they know that Sternberg is looking at other women or other cities in this
that was
case.
Your point last night.
Right.
I mean, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that's why, even though they've got, like I said, one of the best farm systems in the league, and you're in first place going into the month of June, if you're not giving any passion, if you're not making you feel like you've made a commitment on the the passionate side, then what you basically just have is you have a good handshake agreement, and you're looking for the first exit door, and that seems to be what we have here.
Yeah, well, I mean, and the Rays the other night, they win last night. The other night, they blow a lead, and instead of talking about how great this team is, you're talking about stadium situation, which has been right. You do it during the season when you're just coming off a 90-win season. It's unbelievable. It's like torpedoing.
It's literally like It's literally like the lawyers called them this week and said, "Okay, guys, we just found a stipulation in the law, but we need you to buy a house in St. Pete, Sternberg, and then announce you're going to Montreal, Sternberg, and Manfred, you back it up, and we'll make sure this team gets into the best market possible. And even though all Major League Baseball teams are suffering at the attendance gate, we'll finally get out of the St. Pete nightmare, which to them obviously is a nightmare because I've never seen somebody want to get out faster."
Yeah, I mean, and again, people see through it. They know it, and real baseball fans that want to come over and be Rays fans, you're not giving them the opportunity because you're killing the momentum in the middle of the year. So let's talk about this Rays team. Should you be worried right now, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy? Blake Snell the other day gets blown up in the first inning. First inning, 6 runs, 6 earned runs. 12-1 to the Yankees. They can't seem to beat the Yankees, especially at Yankee Stadium.
And then Morton drops his second of the year, just like to go with to put the icing on the cake. Our back end of our bullpen is just unbelievably terrible.
Yeah.
Looking back now I start to realize why the baseball pundits were calling for signing one of those closers, because it's obvious we don't have anyone who can close the game out.
And that right there, that move. We're not making that move. You hear that they were aggressive in it, but they didn't make a move. You know what I say to that? Always be closing. You're a salesperson. Always be closing. If you want to get that guy signed, do whatever it takes. Then the fans will realize that you're all in. If you're not doing that, the fans just know basically you're sticking your toe in the water, but you're not really jumping in.
If you're going to announce the Montreal deal in the middle of the season, then don't even bother.
It's horrible.
Save the money.
I mean, what's worse?
What are you doing? Fighting
what's
for
worse
first
than
place?
that?
And you're talking about moving the team. What?
Up till then, I actually thought there was still a plan in place. I still went to bed every night, got on my hands and knees, did my Father, Son, Holy Spirit, prayed to Him. I said, there's still a plan in place. Kreisman's going to work it out, or we're going to get something done. But then when they did that, I know you asked me, what did I think? What did that Montreal announcement think? You can't, like you said, you can't get one stadium built here. And then to say they're going to have the early games down here. Dude, in April, it's 90 degrees out here anyway. If you're in the sun in Florida in April, it might as well be in the shade in July. It's hot.
And baseball, you don't care about those months because it's a long season. So basically, you're slapping your fan base in the face by basically not playing those playoff games or those games that matter in the later months. It doesn't make any sense.
I'll tell you what, if they do end up staying, I can guarantee we're never going to do a live show from the field. I don't think we're going to be too endearing to the ownership right now. But,
hey,
we're speaking we're passionate.
Right, we're passionate about it.
The fans, that's what we're here for. We're trying to be a voice for them.
That's it.
And like you said, there's tons of fans out there. They're just not getting any act right.
All right, we got an update right now. Rendak says 4-2 Oakland, top of the 8th. So
Okay.
they struggle. They struggle with Oakland for some reason. They had a bugaboo here when they played the A's. They couldn't get it done.
Right.
Oakland's not a great team, but seems to give the Rays problems. And right now they're scuffling with their pitching. Yandy Diaz, I think he got hurt again with a hamstring. So they were trying to, give Daniel Robertson some time down in the minor leagues because he's been a totally different player from last year to this year, but now they're not going to be able to do that. So they got to get it together because you're falling behind the Yankees, and every game you lose, the Yankees, they continue to win. It doesn't matter who they have on the field, and Boston is catching up.
Coming up. I mean,
right.
Not sneaking up. They're marching up.
And the Yankees are getting back Stan. They're going to get back Aaron Judge this weekend, I believe. So it's
Fenway Park.
And they just traded for Edwin Encarnacion.
That killed me.
I mean, that is what a franchise like the Yankees does that the Rays don't. They go for it. They have the killer instinct. You want a comparison, ladies and gentlemen? The Yankees are like Michael Jordan with the killer instinct. They're going to do whatever it takes. The Rays are like LeBron James. When it comes down to the fourth quarter, they're basically going to not get it done. So there you go. All right, so we got some more fans coming on here. Yep, we're on live here on Blake and Blake Sports. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Blake Cabell. And what's your name?
Michael.
Michael, all right. And, Michael, are you a Rays fan?
No, I'm not.
Not a Rays fan, okay. You're not a big-time sports fan?
No.
No, you're not. Okay. So you're just down here right now just hanging out. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever thought about going to a baseball game?
Actually, I've been. It's too long.
Too long?
It's way too long.
Too long.
Pace, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's too long.
Okay.
And I don't know what be going on.
Okay. So you want to go to? You say it's too long to go to a Rays game at this point. Would it be anything that could make you go to a Rays game? Would it be cheaper prices? Would it be free parking? What if they made it an event? Would that help you go? Not really. You're just not a sports fan at all. Okay. All right. That's cool. That's cool. Just
I'm here for the parade.
parade. Okay. See, that's an event.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so St. Pete made this an event. Like the Rays should make games an event. I think that's where it would go. Mm-hmm. All right, so you've been live here on Blake and Blake Sports. Go ahead and tell people out there you're live on Blake and Blake Sports on Bucs Report.
I am live on Blake and Blake's Bucs Report.
Blake and Blake Sports. There you go. Good stuff. So, all right.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Y'all stay safe.
All right, so, not everybody's a sports fan, but the point is that it's an event down here that's going on, and people are showing up. And I feel like if you made an event with the stadium situation during the weekdays, I think it would draw more people. Consequently, they don't do that. And then on top of it, the media doesn't talk about the attendance over the weekends because this place is packed. It's tough. You can't find a parking spot.
Right.
So.
And you look at, I got to say one thing, Peter, and thanks again for letting me come on today, guys. We had a great day today, but when I came, you guys took a different route. We were over in Tampa this morning for an event. And then Wesley Chapel.
Wesley
it was nice.
Chapel.
I was driving through Odessa and saw a bald eagle. It was awesome. It was a holy day for me. But you guys got off at 54 because we had the traffic. It was pretty bad coming down here for the parade tonight for our Pride celebration.
To go around.
Right? Yeah. Now I did stay on the interstate. I got off at 23 Bravo or 23B, which everybody knows is the exit for the Rays Stadium or for Tropicana Field.
Sure.
And as I'm coming around the side, I look over and I still see Tropicana Field, which just still looks like it's in marvelous condition. Now, I will say it still looks like the white elephant it was 30 years ago, but now we have a baseball team. And it still looks like it's in great condition with good air conditioning. But I noticed something more prolific. The entire city of St. Petersburg downtown skyline is slowly starting to become not quite as tall, but very near similar to the Tampa Bay skyline.
Right.
But our buildings are more homes, where Tampa Bay, this, like you said, Blake, on the weekends, it's empty down there because it's all business, and Channelside can do that.
Yeah.
So are these some of the things that went into the thinking behind whether a stadium can get done down here? I don't know. But, yeah, I still think there's definitely more chapters to this story. We're just going to have to wait and see how it plays out.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't want to kill her on the stadium talk, but I feel like once what Blake has said, we are definitely a fan. We're fans of baseball, but also being the voice of a fan and talking about, the Tampa Bay race. And, having people come on camera and talk about how they like the Rays or don't like the Rays. But the somebody says they like them when they're better. Do you want to come on? All right, come on over.
I will say, Peter, even for me, I know everybody knows I'm a big football guy and all that. But baseball was my very first sport. That is the first sport I ever played. And I will always have a love for baseball. Because of that reason, I did like playing baseball more than I do like watching it. I try to support the home teams and all that because I'm now here in Tampa Bay.
But you can announce your candidacy.
I would like to see this come to a
been
resolution.
formally announced. Michael Wagner is going to be the next.
Yeah, Ray. hey, Ray,
we're live
here. Okay.
All
right. No, he's not the next mayor, but he definitely.
Michael Wagner.
Okay.
He's going to be the next mayor of St. Petersburg. Mr. Wagner, can you tell me what you can do with your powers as mayor to get a new baseball stadium built here for our Rays?
I don't think we need a new baseball stadium. I think the Devil Rays Stadium should stay exactly where it is.
So it's in good condition, and you think the team should try to work harder to make it work there? The Thunderdome, or it's
Tropicana now.
The Pinella Suncoast, or the Suncoast Dome. But so you're thinking a stadium,
Thunderdome,
right? Mad Max. You're not a fan of the Montreal movement.
No, baseball has been very, very good to me.
Very, very good to you.
All right, on that note, I think we should just wrap it up like that, man.
Well, Mr. Wagner, I got to tell you, you
just
got my vote, sir. Thank you for coming on. You got to do me a favor real quick. Come on over here one more time. Say, I'm Michael, right?
The mayor.
Michael Wagner, the next mayor of St. Petersburg, and I've been on a sports web on the Bucs Report.
I've been on a sports web on a Bucs Report.
Thank you, Mr.
All right,
Wagner.
there you go.
St. Petersburg, beautiful downtown Leningrad, as they call in Tampa, the Dirty Bird.
The Dirty Birds. I'm going to call you Devil Ray Wagner. Devil Ray Michael.
All right, man.
Thank you, Mayor Wagner.
Thank you very much. There you go. Only you. You just sit down.
We have been blessed.
That is not Mayor. That is not Mayor Kreisman. Would you stop?
Is that your uncle?
See now that Mayor Kreisman saw that interview, he's going to get serious about making something happen. You know this. We need a way to get around. And now, hey guys,
Peter's crying.
My guys.
Peter is crying.
I got to Ray, you got to tell your family members.
Ray,
come on.
You can't tell them where you are. Like
no witness protection program.
Can't tell your family members who you are.
All right.
Oh, he left his water.
No, well, you got the. There you go. Give the mayor back his water, or the running mayor. All right, we're here live.
Madam Adam West.
Live at Ferg. So you just never know what's going to happen. You never know who's going to come on. Let's read some of these comments.
What was that young lady's girl's name today? Was it
Ariana?
Was it
Adrian?
No,
Adrian Greenleaf.
I wanted to mention her because I hope she comes out next week for our Hannah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Beautiful young lady. Great. If you didn't see
you're
her.
probably going to see her a few times.
And
I definitely think so,
We
yeah.
saw our press conference earlier. She was one of our dancers, one of our tornado chasers, storm chaser girls, storm chasers who was, and she's great public speaking
Tornado
skills.
chasers.
Tornado chasers. Yes.
It's awesome.
Tornado chasers.
That's what we
Tampa Bay
said.
Tornadoes.
Chasers.
Tacos.
We're gonna do chasers.
Tornado chasers.
He's like, where is that at?
You know, I blame you for this. I really do. Tampa Bay. Because you're the man of the people, but
so I bring the nonsense. You bring your passion. Blake brings the logic. I bring the nonsense.
You got your uncle on here.
My uncle. Uncle Mike.
Uncle
guys
Mike.
Are still making fun of Uncle Mike.
All right,
let's. Just met the mayor from.
Oh no, you didn't. Don't even say that. Mayor Kreisman, we do apologize to you. You are not on this program. All right, let's go out to. Well, you shut up.
We gotta make sure we're covered, Ray.
Well, I love that. Look, I love to have Mayor Kreisman. Mayor Kreisman would want to be on this show.
Oh, please.
I tweeted
out here first.
I'll drop what I'm doing.
Sent him a tweet.
Sure.
We're middle of the road, like you said. We are for the fans. and we're out here because we're passionate about what you guys are passionate about. But I did send a tweet to Mayor Kreisman yesterday, and I said, Mayor Kreisman, if you ever, and I know he's got many avenues to speak his voice, but I said, if we're over here at Ferg's across the street from the stadium, we could do a set shot back there with a stadium shot. Come talk to us. We're here for you. Let us. We want to. If there's anything we can facilitate, I'm ready to do this because I don't want to go down without a fight. That was my point several weeks ago when I said I want to know something's happening. Is if it's going to happen, if it's destined to happen, right. I want to say we gave it our best, the old college try.
Yep, that's it, and that's what it's all about, trying. All right, talked about the Tampa Bay Lightning a little bit, the team that wins here in this area consistently with great ownership. You have Andre Vasilevsky, who wins the Vezina Award with his 2.40 goals against average, and then you also have Nikita Kucherov winning the Hart Trophy. What do you guys think of those awards to those players? I know it's a little bit, it's a little bit down mood when talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning because 62 wins during the season, and then they get swept by Columbus. And of course, Keenan Thompson had the joke of the night at the award show. But what do you think about both of those players winning those awards?
I think they're awards. Those are great individual awards. But I think both players would rather have a Stanley Cup than those individual trophies.
Mm-hmm. Right. And, I absolutely agree with you on that. They definitely have individual awards.
Right.
Ray, what's your take on it?
Again, it's like going to the prom and, you get halfway on a date and you go, we're not going to dance at all tonight, but you're going to get a peck on the cheek at the end of the night. So, like you said, Blake, I think that they would have much rather have been in possession or at least in competition or been in contention for a Stanley Cup as opposed to,
Oh, it's very interesting, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, you got your water. Good.
All right. Well, there.
I wasn't going to carry your water, Mr. Mayor.
All right. No. Oh no, we're live here. We're live here on Bucs Report on Blake and Blake Sports. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Blake Cabell, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. Bucs Report, BucsReport.com, Bucs Report on Facebook. Okay. That's where we're at. All right. So there you go. Those are individual awards. Of course, some bad news this week. Ryan Callahan diagnosed with disc degeneration, disc disease, and is back with a lumbar. So it looks like he's not going to come back, which is disappointing, but he's struggled with that back injury the last couple of years. And then they traded today JT Miller to the Canucks for a conditional first-round pick, depending on what the Canucks do with making the playoffs or not. If they don't make the playoffs this year, or if they make the playoffs, they get the first-round pick. If they don't, then it goes on to next year. So, to me, 24 goals the last couple of years for JT Miller. So now you lose JT Miller and also Callahan, part of that New York Rangers trade. But then again, you still have the defenseman who escapes me, when the name escapes me right now.
Oh, the one that couldn't knock the truck. Oh.
Right. Ryan McDonough?
McDonough.
Yeah, Ryan McDonough. So there you go. So we are just taking your questions. We'll read some comments here on Bucs Report, and I think we're pretty much going to wrap this up here.
Do we get any votes for Mayor Mike?
I don't see any on there.
I don't either. So, all right. What are the chances Stu sells and cuts bait or continuously lines his pockets? That's definitely a question.
Well, because if you were going to sell the team, he could without a doubt redevelop down here or build a stadium in St. Petersburg and just sit on his team for 10 years and still double your investment. Sports teams are not going to go away. The global warming will go up 50 degrees and the seas will rise 100 feet before the sports teams start losing value. So if he was even thinking like that, then I think he would get out now and let someone else save it. Or is he trying to prompt a sale? Is he trying to prompt an environment that someone might step up and try to buy the team and maybe drive the price up? That's always a possibility. Like I said, many chapters or many layers of the onion still to peel back.
Yeah, absolutely. Ray is much better looking now. So I think they were commenting on Andrea Greenleaf. There you go. Lynn Tabor says, of course.
But it wasn't Mike, though.
Misador, I don't think so. Misador says White Sox have the same issues and they have a new stadium. So they got their new stadium, new Comiskey Park, and they have issues. So once again, the attendance problem is all across Major League Baseball. There's 12 teams that are struggling right now with attendance. So when Rob Manfield is coming out and saying, basically we approve this. You can go ahead and look at Montreal. You're just looking for the easy way out. The solution to the problem is to improve the pace of the game, make it more exciting, and they haven't done that. Hot Dog Pride Weekend. Oh, my God, I can't. I don't know what that's all. Yeah. Well, everybody does. Everybody wants to go eat a hot dog at a baseball game. No, bring back the better-looking Ray, Misador says. Lynn Tabor says, let's go Rays. Tristan. And then once again, okay, thanks for stopping by, Michael. Michael wins best guest ever.
Yeah.
Laugh out loud. Final thoughts, Blake Cabell.
Don't bet. Don't vote for Mike. And try to get vote for Mike for mayor. First and foremost, let me get that out. Or Ray's uncle.
You're such an idiot.
Yeah, everybody try to get out this and support the Rays. I think it's time that we need to start supporting our baseball team. That's myself included. I've never been to a game. And I think this will be my first time going in 2019, just to pick out a game to go to. And try to support our Tampa Bay teams in this area because, it's just sad, to see this situation with this team trying so hard and giving us back-to-back successful seasons so far in the second year.
Yeah.
All right, Ray.
Well, Montreal was ridiculous. Don't tell us you're going to build 2 stadiums when we can't get one done, and both are in markets that lost teams or one lost a team because of bad attendance and support. Although Montreal's attendance back in the 90s was definitely better than ours currently. But then again, I've seen Yankee Stadium, Peter, even with the superstars. I've seen some games this year. I'll turn on MLB Quick Pitch, and I'm looking at a Monday through Thursday night game, and it's a half full, maybe quarter full, or no, half full to a little more Yankee Stadium, and that's in the busiest metropolis in the entire United States. So Montreal was a joke. But seriously, guys, if you got any ideas, go to the table. Let's work on this. Mayor Kreisman, you said it's the transit. We got to get transit here. And like you said, it's coming. If that's the case, it's going to be here. We just got to find someone that wants to work with us and develop in a beautiful city. You got to want to be here. I've said it's like being a Buccaneer. It's a tax-free income state for our professional athletes. Yep. But the reason why Tampa Bay used to stink so many years, I think a lot of guys would come here and they thought, I got beach, I got the sunsets. I'm coming here to take the easy life and retire. Yep. You got to want to be here, but you still got to want to be passionate about your profession.
Yep.
Yeah, and look, what exists here on Bucs Report Nightly is the Sports Web, the evolution of sports talk television. And there is fan support for Tampa Bay area teams. There are Tampa Bay sports fans that love the Rays, that love the Lightning, and that love the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and hopefully eventually love the Tampa Bay Tornadoes.
Yeah.
For
Blake,
Blake,
let's see that shirt, Peter.
Yeah, well, go ahead and bring that shirt out to me. There, got it right there. There you go.
Our first official. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
There you go, Tampa Bay Tornadoes. And like I said, there are fans out there. There's fan support that love these Tampa Bay area teams. You just have to be good to them. We try to be good to you every night here on the Sports Web and Blake Sports. For Blake Cabell, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. We'll see you later.